Live from New Delhi, you're watching DT India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Trump threatens to impose 30% tariffs against Mexico and European Union. EU chief Ursula von der Leyen says bloc will continue working towards an agreement by August 1st. Australia's largest war-fighting exercise, Talisman Sabre, opens. More than 30,000 military personnel from 19 nations set to join in exercise across Australia and Papua New Guinea. North Korea's Kim Jong-un meets Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, reiterates his country's unconditionally support to all measures taken by Moscow to resolve conflict in Ukraine. And thrilling showdown awaits in Wimbledon as Carlos Alcaraz of Spain to face Yannick Sinner of Italy in men's singles final. US President Donald Trump's announcement to impose 30% tariff on imports from Mexico and the European Union starting on August 1st drew sharp reactions from Mexico as well as from European Union. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said the EU is prepared to take the necessary steps to safeguard its interests, including the adoption of proportionate countermeasures if required. Von der Leyen said in a statement that the bloc remained ready to continue working towards an agreement by August 1st, while European Council President Antonio Costa said the European Union remains firm, united and ready to protect its interests, adding that tariff fuel inflation and create uncertainty. While Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum on Saturday expressed her belief that an agreement with the United States can be reached before the 30% tariffs announced by President Donald Trump take effect on August 1st. In a speech in border state of Sonora, she said that every country was getting a letter from Trump and her team had already begun discussions with the US on Friday and was confident Mexico would get a deal.
Hoy, muy temprano, salió una carta firmada por el presidente Trump, donde dice que a México le van a poner 30% de aranceles a todo lo que se exporte a Estados Unidos. Y nosotros creemos que, por lo que platicaron el día de ayer nuestros compañeros, que vamos a llegar a un acuerdo con el gobierno de los Estados Unidos y que vamos a llegar, por supuesto, a mejores condiciones. De Justicia de la Nación. Tenemos claro que podemos trabajar con el gobierno de Estados Unidos y tenemos claro que no, y hay algo que no se negocia, nunca, es la soberanía.
Earlier on Saturday, US President Donald Trump announced that Mexico and the European Union will face a 30% tariff beginning next month. The move escalates his administration's ongoing trade disputes. In his letters posted on Truth Social platform, Trump cited the need to address perceived trade deficits with the EU and to pressure Mexico into curbing the flow of fentanyl into the United States as reasons for the new tariffs. Following the Trump announcement, an analyst warned on Saturday that Trump's new threat to impose a 30% tariff on European imports is bringing the US and the EU closer to trade war. The August 1st deadline gives the targeted countries time to negotiate agreements that could lower the threatened tariffs. Some investors and economists have also noted Trump's pattern of backing off his tariff threats. US President Donald Trump said he might revoke talk show host Rosie O'Donnell's US citizenship after she criticized his administration's handling of weather forecasting agencies in the wake of deadly Texas floods. The latest salvo in a years-long feud the two have waged over social media. Under US law, a president cannot revoke the citizenship of an American born in the United States. O'Donnell was born in New York State. O'Donnell, a long-time target of Trump's insults and jabs, moved to Ireland earlier this year with her 12-year-old son after the start of President's second term. She said in a March TikTok video that she would return to US when it is safe for all citizens to have equal rights there in America. O'Donnell responded. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un offered Moscow his full support on the Ukraine conflict during talks with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Lavrov's visit to North Korea was the latest in a series of high-profile trips by top Moscow officials as both countries deepen military and political ties amid Russia's offensive against Kiev. North Korea's official KCNA news agency reported that Kim and Lavrov met on Saturday in an atmosphere full of warm, comradely trust. Kim told Lavrov that Pyongyang was ready to unconditionally support and encourage all the measures taken by the Russian leadership as regards the tackling of the root cause of the Ukrainian crisis. The North Korean leader also expressed a firm belief that the Russian army and people would surely win victory in accomplishing the sacred cause of defending the dignity and basic interests of the country. Lavrov told Kim that Putin hopes for continued direct contacts in very near future. Earlier, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov met with North Korean Foreign Minister Cho Son-hui in the coastal city of Wonsan. North Korea and Russia have intensified their military and political ties since the 2022 Russia-Ukraine conflict, culminating in a June 2024 comprehensive strategic partnership treaty with a mutual defense clause. North Korea has supplied Russia with artillery shells to support Moscow's efforts in Ukraine's Kursk region. During Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov's visit to Wonsan this month, Kim Jong-un pledged unwavering support for Russia, lauding Putin's leadership. Lavrov thanked North Korea's heroic troops. The alliance, formalized in November 2024, includes trade and tourism cooperation with new Moscow-Pyongyang flights. Ukraine, South Korea and the US condemned this escalation, citing violations of UN sanctions and risks to regional stability. Australia has launched Talisman Sabre, its largest war-fighting exercise with the US, involving 30,000 troops from 19 countries. The exercise spans 6,500 kilometers from Christmas Island to the Coral Sea and aims to enhance military cooperation and readiness. The United States is Australia's major security ally. Although Australia does not permit foreign bases, the US military is expanding its rotational presence and fuel stores on Australian bases, which from 2027 will have US Virginia submarines at port in Western Australia. Australian officials expect China to monitor the exercise, but there is no sign of Chinese observation yet.
I will leave it to China to interpret what 19 friends, allies and partners wanting to operate together in the region means to them. But for me, it's, as I said earlier, it's nations that are in search of a common aspiration for peace, stability, a free and open Indo-Pacific and adherence to international law, a region where sovereign nations exercise agency and where they're free from coercion. I fully expect that the People's Republic of China will want to come and observe the activities that occur as part of exercise Talisman Sabre. They've made a habit of that over preceding iterations of the exercise. There is no sign yet.
As the United States seeks clarity from its allies over their role in a potential conflict over Taiwan, Australia has stated it will not commit its troops in advance. Speaking to the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, Defence Industry Minister Pat Conroy said that the decision to commit Australian troops to a conflict will be made by the government of the day, not in advance, but by the government of the day. Conroy said Australia will decide its role when the time comes. The minister said that Australia prioritizes its sovereignty and will not discuss hypotheticals. Conroy added Australia was concerned about China's military buildup of nuclear and conventional forces, and wants a balanced Indo-Pacific region where no country dominates. The Australian minister's statement comes ahead of the country's largest war-fighting exercise with the US at Sydney Harbour. France on Saturday announced a historic accord with New Caledonia in which the overseas territory will be declared a new state within the French realm. The 13-page accord, reached on Saturday after negotiations in Paris between French government and groups on both sides of the territory's independence debate, proposes the creation of a state of New Caledonia with its own nationality. The talks were convened by French President Emmanuel Macron after an earlier series of talks held between February and May 2025 failed to yield an agreement. After 10 days of talks, the parties agreed that the state of New Caledonia should be created. The released document, signed by almost 20 politicians, details what the deal would imply for New Caledonia's future. New Caledonia's population will be called to approve the agreement in February 2026.
Nous sommes donc à l'aboutissement d'un processus.
The resulting formula, as the Minister of State pointed out, is a complete innovation commensurate with the complexity of your territory. It respects Caledonians, past, present and future, and it respects the Republic. And this formula is that of a new Caledonian state with the national whole, with this fundamental law enshrined in the Constitution. And it reconciles the aspiration to self-determination and the link with France in an unprecedented way.
In global updates, talks aimed at securing a ceasefire in Gaza hung in balance on Saturday as both Hamas and Israel accused each other of obstructing efforts to end nearly 21 months of conflict. The deadlock comes amid ongoing negotiations in Qatar and intensifying pressure from families of Israeli hostages to reach a deal. Both Hamas and Israel have said that 10 hostages held since Hamas's October 7, 2023 attack that sparked the conflict would be released if an agreement is reached. Israeli anti-government protesters took to the streets of Tel Aviv on Saturday, calling for the Israeli government to end the conflict in Gaza. Many protesters waved Israeli flags while others carried signs calling for a deal to end the conflict and release the hostages. The indirect talks over a U.S. proposal for a 60-day ceasefire are nonetheless expected to continue, the sources said, despite the latest obstacles in clinching a deal. Bavaria's fairy tale royal castles, including Neuschwanstein, Herrenchiemsee and Linderhof, have been added to the UNESCO World Heritage List. The decision made by UNESCO World Heritage Committee during its 47th session in Paris is recognizing the architectural and cultural significance of King Ludwig II's 19th century palaces. Construction began at Neuschwanstein in 1869, but the project was never completed and building work halted when the Bavarian king died in 1886. The castle is now one of the most popular tourist sites in Germany, receiving roughly 1.4 million visitors per year. It inspired the Disney castle logo after Walt Disney visited in 1950s. Bavarian state premier Markus Söder described the designation as a worldwide accolade, calling Neuschwanstein Bavaria's landmark par excellence. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Axiom Mission 4 astronaut crew set to return to Earth on July 14. Conference organized in New Delhi on Dalai Lama's contributions. Third test between India and England delicately poised at Lord's.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. अरे it fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. After spending around 2 weeks at International Space Station, Axiom Mission 4 astronaut crew, including Indian astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla, are set to return to Earth. The SpaceX Dragon spacecraft carrying the 4 astronauts is scheduled to undock from the ISS on Monday, July 14. The Dragon capsule will leave the ISS's Harmony module around 4:35 p.m. IST. After undocking, the spacecraft will head back to Earth for a splashdown off the coast of California. Arrival back to Earth. Splashdown scheduled for 15th of July at 3 p.m. IST. These timings have a margin window of approximately 1 hour. The International Buddhist Confederation has organized a conference on Sunday in New Delhi to celebrate the 90th birthday of Dalai Lama. The event, celebrating glorious 90 years of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, spiritual wisdom and global relevance, honors his significant contributions to India, Buddhism and the world. Dalai Lama has been a global icon for non-violent approach, love and truth, who played a crucial role in reviving Buddhism and Buddhist institutions in the Himalayan region. A resident of India since 1959, Dalai Lama self-identifies as a son of India, articulating that his mind is entirely suffused with the teachings of great Nalanda tradition. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar began his visit to Singapore and China. In his first stopover, EAM Jaishankar met his Singaporean counterpart Vivian Balakrishnan, exchanged views on several key issues. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar also met Chairman Designate of the Temasek Holdings, Teo Chee Han. Both discussed the transformation underway in India and its investment opportunities. Later, EAM Jaishankar will also visit China to attend the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Foreign Ministers meeting and also to hold bilateral talks with the leaders on the sidelines of the meeting. Montenegro's Statehood Day celebrated on 13th of July. On this occasion, an event was held at the Ashoka Hotel in the national capital, where several officials from the Ministry of External Affairs and some foreign diplomats were present. This special occasion not only honored the rich heritage and scenic beauty of Montenegro, often called the Pearl of the Mediterranean, but also celebrates 17 years of exceptional diplomatic service by Dr. Janis Darbari, Consul General of Montenegro.
ये जो दिन है 13th of July is a day of celebration for Montenegro क्योंकि through a very peaceful transition, through a referendum from Serbia, they created world history of an independence through peace. और इस बात को इस बार मैंने इस नेशनल डे पे लोगों को बताया कि यूनाइटेड नेशंस के फोरम को इस्तेमाल जब किया जाता है तो जितने भी लोग हैं, देश हैं, पॉलिटिशियंस हैं, वो इस बात को समझें कि डिप्लोमेसी का सबसे बड़ा हथियार है पेन, और वो पेन की आवाज़ जब बुलंद होता है यूनाइटेड नेशंस में तो समझौता बिना गन्स का होता है.
Eminent lawyer Ujjwal Nikam and former Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla are among the 4 people President Draupadi Murmu has nominated to India's Upper House of Parliament or Rajya Sabha. In a gazette notification put out by the Ministry of Home Affairs, 4 members were nominated to the Upper House of the Parliament, which comprised people from varied backgrounds, including diplomacy, the legal fraternity, historian and social worker. Those who were named on the MHA list of nominees included Harsh Shringla, an accomplished diplomat, Ujjwal Nikam, a lawyer, Meenakshi Jain, an eminent historian, and Sadanandan Master, a Kerala teacher. PM Modi congratulated all 4 members who were nominated for the upper house. Renowned lawyer Ujjwal Nikam thanked President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi for the honor.
आज जो राष्ट्रपति महोदय मुझे विश्वास प्रकट किया, मैं इससे बहुत खुश हूं और मैं पूरी हमारी जनता का व्यक्तिशः आभारी हूं. हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री भाजपा के जेपी नड्डा जी और गृह मंत्री अमित भाई जी और हमारे महाराष्ट्र के मुख्यमंत्री देवेंद्र फडणवीस, इनका व्यक्तिशः आभारी हूं.
8 Khalistani terrorists, including one wanted in India by the National Investigation Agency NIA, have been arrested by the Federal Bureau of Investigation from different parts of the US. Among the 8 arrested Khalistani terrorists is Pavitr Singh Batala, who is a gangster in Punjab and is wanted for carrying out terror activities at the behest of the banned terrorist organization Babbar Khalsa International. During a raid in San Joaquin County, California, the FBI seized 5 handguns, including a fully automatic Glock and assault rifle, hundreds of rounds of ammunition, high-capacity magazines, and over $15,000 in cash. The anti-terror agency has also filed a charge sheet against Batala. The second edition of the Northeastern Regional District Sustainable Development Goals Index Report 2023-24 was released by Niti Aayog. The index covers 121 of 131 Northeast districts, with 103, that is 85%, classified as front-runners. All districts in Mizoram, Sikkim and Tripura achieve front-runner status. Nathial in Mizoram stands out as the highest scoring district, while states like Nagaland and Tripura have shown strong and balanced performances. The region excels in clean water, gender equality and economic growth driven by schemes like Jal Jeevan Mission. However, challenges persist in climate action and inequality. The index highlights improved data systems and local planning, guiding sustainable development efforts toward 2030. And time now for sport. The third test between India and England is delicately poised after the visitors equalled the host's score of 387 runs in the first innings at Lord's. England will resume play on 4th day on Sunday at 2 runs with openers Zach Crawley and Ben Duckett at the crease. Earlier, opener KL Rahul scored a century, while Ravindra Jadeja and Rishabh Pant pitched in with crucial 50s as India posted 387 runs, matching England's first innings total. Rahul and Pant shared a 4th wicket stand of 141 runs. India looked vulnerable with 5 wickets down, but Jadeja steadied their innings with his third 50-plus knock in a row. Chris Woakes was pick of the England bowlers with 3 scalps. The tennis world is set for another blockbuster showdown. Just 35 days after that unforgettable French Open final, Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner are ready to renew their rivalry, this time on hallowed lawns of Wimbledon. Their rivalry is defining this new era. They share their last 6 Grand Slams, and Alcaraz leads the head-to-head 8-4. A report by DD India correspondent Narayan Singh.
Last time Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner met in a Grand Slam final, the tennis world witnessed one of the greatest matches in the recent memory. A 5.5-hour marathon match in the French Open final that had everything: drama, intensity and history. Just 35 days later, they are back at again. This time it's the Wimbledon final 2025. And the stakes couldn't be higher. World number 1 Jannik Sinner comes into the final in top form. He hasn't dropped a set all tournament and cruised past Novak Djokovic in the semi-finals, ending 24-time Grand Slam champions' hopes for yet another title. And on the other side is defending champion Carlos Alcaraz, who had to dig deep throughout the fortnight, from a 5-set scare in the first round to powering past Taylor Fritz in the semis of the Wimbledon. Spaniard is looking hungry to lift his 4th major title. But let's rewind for a moment. In that unforgettable Roland Garros final, Sinner was 2 sets up. He had 3 championship points, but Alcaraz, he refused to go away. The 22-year-old mounted a stunning comeback to snatch the title, showing the world why he is called the successor of the Big Three. The rivalry is quickly becoming the centerpiece of the new era in the men's tennis. Alcaraz and Sinner have won the last 6 Grand Slams between them. That's how dominant these two have become. As for head-to-head records, Alcaraz leads 8-4, including 5 straight wins over Sinner, the most recent being that dramatic win in Paris. But here is a twist. The only time they have played on grass was right here at Wimbledon in 2022, and Sinner won that match. So, can the Italian flip the script again on the center court? Or will Alcaraz extend his streak and defend his crown? One thing is for sure, this rivalry is just getting started, with both players still in their early 20s. Expect many more slams finals between them.
That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.